What's up, Michigan? Welcome back to the State Champs Poolside podcast. I'm Lorne Plants, and my co-host is always the girls swimming head coach at Bloomfield Hills High School, a man who was a big part of the Michigan Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association. He is David Zulkiewski. Hello to you, sir. Big weekend ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to be here and getting ready for a great state meet this weekend.
Okay. Now, if you've not listened to the Poolside podcast this season, we've covered a lot, had some great interviews, previewed some of what we might expect to see at this year's state finals. We've got a great show up ahead today as we are joined by the reigning, undisputed 2020-2021 MHSAA Coaches of the Year, representing Grand Rapids Northview High School, Rob Damuth, and in this corner, representing Mason High School, Connie Cantrel. Sorry, but I love doing that kind of stuff. Thank you both so much for coming on to the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right, great. On the show today, we're going to talk about what it means to win the Michigan High School Coaches Association's Coach of the Year, what's happening now, and they actually are going to predict the individual and team winners from each division of this weekend's state finals and tell us why. I made up that last part. They're not going to do that. I just thought I would get them ripped up. Sorry, guys, but that is coming up all ahead. But first, Poolside is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Lawrence Tech wants you to recruit yourself. Just go to ltuathletics.com and click on the Recruit Yourself link. Academic and athletic scholarships are available in over 24 varsity sports. Poolside is also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics, and by the physical therapy and sports medicine professionals with the Detroit Medical Center. Our Game Changer segments are back. Check our YouTube playlist by searching State Champs TV or go to our website, statechampsnetwork.com. It's got great insight on training tips and more. And for immediate care, go to dmc.org/gamechangers. Okay, we want to get to know our two guests a bit before we get into the serious swim talk. Connie Cantrel, I want to start with you. You are a born and bred Bulldog, and I understand you swam as a youngster but stopped at middle school. In high school, back in the pool, but as a diver. How long did that last?
It actually only lasted for about 3 weeks. We had 5 divers on my team, and we only needed 2. And I, being an age group swimmer, I was doing a couple dives, and then I actually did butterfly back to the wall. And one of the seniors said, "You can do butterfly?" Like, yeah. Put me down on the starting blocks and made me swim a 25 fly in front of the coach. And they're like, "You're not diving anymore, you're swimming." They needed a butterflyer for their medley relay. And I wound up being their number 1 flyer my freshman year. So I stayed in the pool after that.
There you go.
Didn't coach. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say is your most memorable high school swim experience?
From my high school, it was definitely my state meet my senior year. I had tendonitis my senior year, so I actually kicked the whole season. I was a terrible kicker, but I got a lot better during that. Got back into using my arms only 2 weeks before the league meet. We qualified our relays at leagues and then swam at the state meet. We were all state. But that was huge. And it was back in the day when we only had 2 divisions, only 12 came back the second day. So it was definitely memorable. And that was the year that they came out with those plastic suits that you're only supposed to wear for 200 yards or less. Because your skin supposedly couldn't breathe through it, which now it could have handled it. But
right.
Yeah, it was awesome. It's been a great experience.
Right. And then similarly to how you got back into swimming, when you were at Grand Valley State, you started in rowing because I think you were still dealing with some injuries, right? But you ended up back in the pool swimming.
Yeah, I actually, Dewey Newsom was used to be the coach back then. I think Rob was still swimming then. And I would jump in a morning practice every once in a while because I needed some cross training. My knees started hurting from too much rowing. So I would jump in, and I actually met Rob at Grand Valley. I don't know if he remembers, but in college he looked a lot like Ricky Schroeder. So Rob was easy to
Oh, my.
remember.
Well, silver spoons and all that was huge back in the day, and then his career progressed from there. So I can see the resemblance. And then you had opportunities to try out for the national team because you were one of three. You told me on your team you were asked, but you opted out. Why was that?
Right. There was my last year, there was 12 of us that were fighting for 8 seats. So we were duking it out, training so hard all the time for those 8 seats. And when we went to small college nationals and we got second place, there was one of the national coaches was there watching, and he was coaching a collegiate team at the time. And he said, I would really like you 3 to come try out for the national team. And none of the 3 of us actually wound up doing it, but I had met my husband at that point in time. And again, my knees weren't great and I didn't want to go through, moving away for that. It wasn't where I was going at that point in time. So I got married instead of taking that next jump.
All right, Connie. So how did you get into coaching? Talk about going back to Mason and your coaching career there.
I got back into coaching because while I was at Grand Valley, a guy that I swam with my first year of college picked up a coaching position in Grand Rapids on a co-ed team, and he was like, I need help. I can't do this by myself. So I jumped in with him, and I did all of the diving and some of the swimming. So I kind of got back in the door and still loved it. And we had some really good success with some kids that were starting from square one, their sophomore, junior year of high school. Had one really good state meet where we had a girl make it as a diver and then relays at a couple individual events. So it was a really good experience, and I loved coaching. And then when we moved to a school district that didn't have a swim team, so I coached everything else. Coached cross country, basketball, volleyball, and track, and helped with the musical, did marching band. And then down the road, we moved again, Walled Lake Western, coached at Walled Lake Western for a couple of years, and then moved again back towards the capital area. And I was at Mason, and it was a good fit. I walked in the door the year that they didn't have a diving coach. So I wound up coaching diving most of the time. But even though my background's in swimming, I had gymnastics to kind of fall back on. So I knew how to teach a twister or flip, and I figured out I teach math like Rob. We both teach math also. And so the dive numbers made sense to me, and the DD and how all of that worked together. And then I quit coaching when I had my second child, my son, just so that I was at home more. And Mason built the new pool and started the first girls season. And then all of a sudden the person that was supposed to be coaching left. So I stepped back in as the only other person in the building that actually knew what to do coaching swimming. And I've been here ever since. And it's been fabulous. Some of my greatest memories are watching kids swim and improve and just having them become the adults that they are evolving into. And more recently, having my own swimmers, being able to be here to mentor them. So starting to teach them how to coach. So I'm working with 2 of my former swimmers now actually 3 now, working on coaching our underclassmen. It's fabulous. Last year's highlight, I think the end of your question, can you read the end part of that question again?
Well, I mean, it really is just basically, just what your coaching career has been like. We'll get more into your accomplishments and things like that. But I think you answered it pretty good. Let me bring Rob in here. And again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Poolside podcast. We're talking to the MHSAA Coaches of the Year in Swimming. And Rob Damuth, you're a lifelong West Sider. You too swam as a youngster, but from what I understand, didn't gravitate back to the sport until your sophomore year at Forest Hills Northern. Why was that?
Well, like most boys, you get wrapped up into basketball and football, and you show any talent in that. Those high school coaches keep pushing you, and they'll bring you in for workouts. And so I really got the bug to be the basketball player and the quarterback. So that was kind of my trajectory, and we moved. I went from a small Catholic school to Forest Hills Northern my freshman year. And, 8th game of the year, I blew my ACL. So it pretty much ended my my football basketball career, and I wasn't fully grown, so I couldn't have surgery. So tried out for swimming my sophomore year.
Yeah. And you entered to make it a great choice because it wasn't long before you were breaking school records. Why do you think you were able to have so much success at the high school level?
I don't like to lose. I'm pretty competitive. I think that Z and Connie can probably attribute to that. No matter what I'm doing, I'm pretty competitive. So I think that gives you an edge. And I think that doing those other sports gave me the ability and the confidence to attack swimming. I wasn't the best trainer at the beginning, but throw me in a race and I could usually pull off some pretty cool things.
All right. Well, you also, as we alluded to earlier, you went on to Grand Valley as well. And that's where you started coaching, if I'm correct. Kind of talk a little bit about your journey as a coach.
Yeah, I never knew that's what I was going to do, let alone being a swimmer. I never thought that was going to happen, but I ended up doing pretty well my senior year and went on some recruiting trips. And Grand Valley never recruited me. I went to Toledo and some other places, but I wanted to be a teacher, and Grand Valley had a great program. So I ended up going there for education. I walked onto the swim team, and they wanted me to swim backstroke, and I conveniently talked to the coach to let me swim breaststroke, and things went my way on from there. But what pushed me into coaching is the more I was around that program, I felt like we could do things differently and better. And I felt like I could have an impact on the sport. And I was asked at Forest Hills Northern to come help them out a year after I graduated to be their assistant varsity coach. And I was geeked about it. And I coached their top 2 lanes. So what that means, I coached all their state girls. And some of them I was only a year older than them. And I was able to gain their respect. And, we had a great state finish. And on it went. So.
Yeah, and here you are today. Well, David, I've talked enough. Why don't you get into what these two and their teams are doing these days?
Absolutely. Both of you guys had some outstanding seasons last year. You come off top 5 finishes. Is there something that you take from last year, bring it into this year to get your kids ready for whether it be a great season or, with the girls coming up this week, a great state meet? What are you bringing from last year and all that success? Connie, why don't you go first?
Yeah, go ahead, Connie.
Rob, go ahead, yeah.
I was just going to say last year's season was tough because we were delayed so long. Normally we start mid-November, and even though we have a community pool, we weren't allowed back in the pool until the second week of January. So it was the shortest high school season we've ever had. So some of those big monster yard days or the aerobic base that we would have normally had and built, we didn't actually get to. We did. So I wouldn't even let my guys do the 100-100s. That's a tradition. They want to do it. I wouldn't even let them do it. So what I took out of last year is that to have good gains, it doesn't always have to have the monster yards. I think we did about as best as we could have done with what we had in COVID. My son is a 500 freestyler. That's the longest event we have. And really it's a sprint, but we didn't do the monster yards, and he still had a great swim at state meet. So we did things, found a good balance between race-paced training and traditional training, I think.
Good. What about you, Rob?
Well, Z, you were in the mess of the girls' season last year. I thought we were primed to swim fast in November. I thought that those 7 extra weeks where we could give them workouts and they'd have to find a Y or an MVP or a whatever to swim in, emotionally was a detriment to the girls. And I think that the state meet was just survival. It was, can you just hold your places? Can you just get through this meet emotionally? Because the roller coaster of, are we going to have the meet? Are we not going to have the meet? Why am I training? Why am I still in the pool? A lot of teams and girls decided it wasn't worth it. And I just was proud of our girls, regardless of their place, that they stuck to it and they finished out the season and held their heads up high at the end.
That's great. Rob, we'll go right back to you here. What do you do coming off all that success? You guys hosted state meet. You got a trophy in your hands at the end of the year. So many great things going on. What do you bring into this season to keep that motivation going for the girls?
Well, my AD, Pat Marsman, they had a Meet the Cats night, and he wasn't shy about calling the swim team out on bringing home another trophy. So the expectations are there. The expectations are there, but it's managing that and having the girls think about giving 100% and having fun doing it rather than the end result. And because the more you concentrate on, am I going to get a trophy or not? Am I going to be all state or not? I think that wastes your energy. And I think that the important thing is putting the energy into the race, and then whatever happens, happens. And we've kind of had that mindset every day in practice and every dual meet we've gone through. So hopefully we have that same attitude come this weekend.
That's great. Connie, I mean, you've seen the girls' season kind of move along here. You're getting ready for boys. What are you taking from last year? How are you preparing your boys this week and getting ready for season to start here in the next week?
Just, I guess, staying grateful and kind of, as Rob said about, kind of controlling the things that you can control and not worrying about the rest. Swimming is an offensive sport. There is no defense. You can't go into somebody else's lane to slow them down. You can only control yourself and what you're doing. And I think last year that kind of made it really focus on the things that you can control. What can you use as your advantage in your training, in your diet, and just, I guess that's a lot. I'm grateful for the extra time that we have this year to get ready, but like Rob, I just think Rob would be a lot of fun at swim practice, and we try to have a lot of fun at swim practice still, regardless of how hard we're working. And that's one of the last things I tell my swimmers before they go off to college. I said, still find a way to be goofy at practice. I said, it's going to be serious, it's going to be hard. Still find little ways to be goofy and have fun at practice. You still got to love it. You still got to enjoy it.
Absolutely. That energy's got to be there every day. Rob, league meets wrapped up. Psych sheets were posted today at noon. I'm sure you've been scouring through them like I have. How did league meet look this year? And then looking at your state team, a lot of returning kids, a lot of new kids. How, what do things look like? Share with everybody a little bit about what we got going on.
Well, in my 26-year career, I've always had to deal with a hot Zeeland team or an East Grand Rapids team who never cools down, it seems like. So, yeah, we had to deal with East Grand Rapids again. What do you know? They have their best dual meet of the year against us, and they win the league meet, hands down, winning one event. They're so deep, and you've seen the psych sheets. They're going to dominate D3. But it's been nice having Butch as a mentor all these years. As much as they're the Yankees, right? You want to beat them so bad. It makes you strive to be better. And now that we've gained their respect, we have to look higher. And going into the state meet, I think that helps prep us for that. Dealing with East Grand Rapids all the time. But, we have two new girls, a freshman who's seated 16th in the 50, and she's outside the top 16 in the 100 back, but I think she has a shot to score. First year junior, Danica, she seated top 8 in the 200, just outside in the 5. But a true distance kid learning how to sprint. So they're good additions. We didn't lose anyone from our state team last year. So I think that's why all the expectations are there for us. Looking at the psych sheets, I think it's C home. And then there's a group of 6 of us that are going to battle 2, 3, 4, 5. So, we'll see, top 4 bring home a trophy. I hope that we put in the time and the focus that we'll gain one of those. So
that's terrific. Any other last little bits of, info or fun stuff that you're doing before you guys head out tomorrow for state meet?
The girls today, they did a little decorating for their hotel rooms. They haven't had that in a few years. So, they got these big poster boards and they decorated stuff to put on each other's hotel room doors. So that will be a good experience to kind of get away and have the van rides and the singing of the songs and stuff on the way. So we like doing that. And, the energy's up. I mean, whether they're doing cannonballs and stuff off the blocks now and they're thinking they're synchronized swimmers, and it just, the energy is around. And, I just hope they bring the happy energy Friday and Saturday. Because if they do, we're going to swim great.
That's awesome. I know Lauren's got a few more things for you guys, and I appreciate the insight, and looking forward to a good state meet here, buddy.
Thanks, E.
Yeah, that's right. We are talking with the MHSAA Coaches of the Year. And Connie, I know you've been coaching for 20 years. You've been at Mason for 17. I'm just going to rattle off some of your accomplishments: 12 league championships, 25 all-state athletes, 8 state champions. Last year, team placed 5th at the state meet with only 5 qualifiers. And you were voted by your peers as the MHSAA Zone 7 Coach of the Year twice. 2021 voted by your peers as the MHSAA D3 Boys Coach of the Year, and now the Michigan High School Coaches Association Boys Swimming Coach of the Year. What does the MHSCA award mean to you?
It means a tremendous amount, and I think that's because the coaching community that we are part of is so supportive and so cool. Rob mentioned having Coach Briggs as a mentor, and I have been grateful and have taken advantage of asking questions of the people that I get to coach with and work with at the MHSAA coaches clinics and in the spring at the MHSAA outing. It's just a wonderful group of people to work with. And as I said earlier, I've coached in a lot of different sports, and I think swimming is one of those. And I think people are getting more supportive, but we used to be so safeguarded of some of our coaching secrets or whatnot. But if you reach out to a fellow swim coach and ask a question, you're going to get an answer and you're going to get resources. And to have been lifted up by this group of coaches as the Division Coach of the Year and the Michigan High School Coaches Association Coach of the Year, it's a tremendous honor. It's just an amazing thing, and just so happy and fortunate to be part of the group of people that I am a part of.
All right. Rob Damuth, you've been coaching 26 years at Grand Rapids Northview, 324 wins, 3 league championships, 95 all-state athletes, 21 top 15 finishes at state meet, voted by your peers as MHSAA Zone Coach of the Year 3 times. 2021, this year, voted by your peers as D2 Girls Coach of the Year in the MHSAA and the MHSCA, the Coaches Association Girls Swim Coach of the Year. So what does it mean to you to receive this honor?
Well, I think I said in my speech last weekend that this is more of a community award, in my opinion. This shows the support you have of your AD, your age group coaches, your high school parents. It's been a long time building this program, and I just am so proud to bring that back to them. And the congratulations I get around the district from teachers over email or in person, it's humbling, but my response every time is we have a great swim community, and I'm so proud of them that they've been through the worst times building this program, and now it's nice that they get to see some hardware and some cool things come their way. And any good publicity is great for the sport, so I was just happy to represent Northview in that capacity.
Absolutely. Well, we again congratulate the both of you. And David, you're getting ready for this weekend? You feeling good about your squad?
We are. We're feeling good. We got 4 girls ready to go. Biggest state team we've had in about 6 years. So we're excited. Van rolls out at 1 tomorrow. We're heading out to the west side, and Holland's always been good to us. So by the time this podcast is out, I hope everybody's seeing some fast swimming out of all of us. So.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's our show this week. David and I will be back next week for the final show of the girls' season as we recap what happened at the state championship meets. I will actually be filming the Division II finals this Saturday at Oakland University, so I'm very much looking forward to that. And remember, you can either watch or listen to the Poolside podcast. The video is uploaded weekly on our website, social media, and our YouTube channel, or you can listen to the audio podcast by going to the platform of your choice, Apple, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify. Show is uploaded on Fridays. I want to thank our sponsors, Lawrence Technological University, the Michigan High School Athletic Association, and DMC Sports Medicine and Physical Therapy team. Thanks again to Rob, Damon, and Connie Cantrel. Good luck. This weekend for you, Rob. I know that, Connie, you still help with the girls, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we go D3, D2. Yep.
Okay. And then maybe we'll talk to you come boys season because it's starting up. So good luck again to both of you. For David, I'm Lorne, and we'll see you next week.